The United Congregation of Israel presents Angels and Demons. There are numerous books and products featuring angels from which authors and manufacturers reap great financial profits. Through ignorance, some have produced encyclopedias with hundreds of angels listed by name. Even though angels are agents of Yahweh, they should never be given equal or more attention than what we give to Yahweh and Yeshua.
Let no man beguile you of your reward in a voluntary humility and worshiping of angels, intruding into those things which he have not seen, vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind. Colossians chapter 2, verse 18.
Placing statues of angels around is an obvious violation of Scripture regarding graven images. Yet, angels have become objects of prayer or idols for many professing believers. As in the ancient days, angels are incorrectly depicted with halos, which is a poor representation of Yahweh's glory that appears upon his angels and saints. Angels are frequently depicted as though all of them have wings, as female, and they are commonly depicted as Gentiles. But to the contrary, the Bible speaks of angels in many places with a great amount of detail, with only half of their orders being created with wings, as masculine, and not looking different from the ancient Hebrew men of color they appeared to. Scripture states,
"Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares." Hebrews chapter 13, verse 2.
Many of the details on angels and their purpose and design can be determined directly from Scripture. Additional details can be obtained by performing word studies using the Strong's Concordance and lexicon to determine the Hebrew and Greek words originally used. Because the Hebrew language is a much more expansive language, many Hebrew words do not have an English equivalent, but may take several English words to express the original meaning and thought intended. Angels are not for our entertainment, nor are they the product of medieval superstitions of mythical thought, but are supernatural spirit beings who are intelligent and powerful beyond imagination.
Then a spirit passed before my face. The hair of my flesh stood up. It stood still, but I could not discern the form thereof. An image was before mine eyes. I heard a voice saying, "Shall mortal man be more just than Elohim? Behold, he put no trust in his servants, and his angels he charged with folly." Job chapter 4, verses 15 through 18.
Angels were the first and highest order of created things. They were all created simultaneously as a host of immortal spirit beings who do not die. They can remain invisible at will, but can appear in human form, speak as men, and eat men's food. They are innumerable and described in terms of thousands, and 10,000 times 10,000, a multitude, and legions. They don't marry or reproduce, but are capable of spiritual influence on human nature, as when Eve was spiritually seduced and brought forth Cain, who is never counted with the offspring of the holy seed. All angels were created and clothed in a form best suited to their spirit nature, and were assigned to a habitation or first estate, according to Elohim's sovereign purpose. Angels have names, although most are not mentioned by name in Scripture. They are capable of direct physical combat, and some are the principal forces behind world powers. They act as messengers of Elohim who warn of danger, deliver instructions, wisdom, and understanding to the charges they protect. They purify, strengthen, and bless humans, record all spoken words and deeds performed, whether good or bad. They were present as a heavenly choir at creation and they rejoice when one sinner repents. The word angel is derived from the Greek word angelos and the Latin word angelus, both meaning messenger. The Hebrew word is malach. Angels do not marry or reproduce.
For in the resurrection, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of Elohim in heaven. Matthew chapter 22, verse 30.
While any angel sent to execute commands might be called the Angel of Yahweh, this term is distinguished from Yahweh Elohim. One thing is clear: angels were and are sent forth to minister for those individuals who shall be heirs of salvation.
And of the angels he says, who maketh his angels? Spirits, and his ministers a flame of fire. But to which of the angels said he at any time, sit on my right hand, until I make thine enemies your footstool? Are they not all ministering spirits, sent forth to minister for them who shall be heirs of salvation? Hebrews chapter 1, verse 7 and verses 13 through 14.
And yet the term the Angel of Yahweh is identified with him, since being in the angel's presence is equivalent to being in Yahweh's presence. The angel revealed the face of Elohim, and in whom was Yahweh's name.
Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 through 22.
There are 3 heavens identified in Scripture. Paul was caught up into the 3rd heaven in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 2, which is where Yahweh of hosts resides. This indicates there is a first and a second heaven. The Bible also reveals that these unseen spiritual beings are divided into 2 distinct factions. One faction is holy and active as agents of the Almighty Yahweh Elohim, while the others are servants of Satan, equally as active, but with evil intent to hinder and destroy all that is wrought of Elohim in the world. Angels do not have man's shortcomings and can act for Elohim, bridging the huge gap between the holiness and perfection of Elohim in heaven and the shortcomings of carnal people on earth. All angelic hosts are not of the same spiritual fabric. Neither are they the same in hierarchy, or that is, spiritual position or duty, nor of the same bodily form. They have rank, order, power, and areas of responsibility. There are 4 different choirs or ranks of angels: Seraphim, Cherubim, Archangels, and Angels. Let's examine their jurisdictions and power first. The highest jurisdiction is thrones, which is closely associated to the realm known as dominion. Thrones is a royal seat of honor and judgment that is high and lofty and covered with a hanging or canopy, the seat of the Most High Yahweh. It's a seat of judgeship, a tribunal and royal authority of administration that also belongs to Yeshua, the Anointed One, and is divinely assigned to elders. Rarely is the word used as a common seat.
And Yeshua said unto them, Yes, I say unto you, that you which have followed me, in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, you also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Matthew chapter 19, verse 28.
Dominion is a kingdom or realm of government. It's a head place of sovereignty and lordship that applies to Yahweh Elohim as the originator or source of all life. Yahshua the Messiah was divinely given dominion forever by his sacrifice, as confirmed in Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6, where it states, "And the government shall be on his shoulders." Note, dominion and government are used interchangeably in 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 10 and Jude chapter 1 verse 8. Last, dominion also means to subjugate, to tread down, wine press.
And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of Elohim. Revelation chapter 14, verse 19.
Principalities are in families, both natural and spiritual. It is the first person or thing in a series, the leader or active cause of, the corner, as soon as instructions were imparted, powerful and capable of something either by one's own ability or resources, whether by permission of law or custom. They are mighty and of great authority, a prince, a potentate. Yahweh Elohim is the principal, since he is the sovereign originator of the Holy Family. Divinely ordained, the chief potentate of the kingdom of Elohim is the firstborn son, Yahshua, first fruits to Yahweh and only begotten son of Elohim. Mentioned in Colossians chapter 1 verse 16 and Ephesians chapter 3 verse 10, principalities are also chief archangels who have princely authority and provide strength to the tribes or families of earth to seek, pursue, endure, and protect the true faith. This includes natural Israelite families as well as the spiritual Israelite family, the church. One of the chief princes over all archangels and angels is Michael, who is the guardian of Israel. And as a chief prince of archangels, he is a spiritual potentate. They watch over the leaders of the people, including forming into bands or hosts of war.
But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. Daniel chapter 10, verse 13.
Powers and virtues are jurisdictions of authority and influence, and are closely connected, since virtue is a specific type of power or influence. Powers and virtue extend from Yahweh Elohim down to the lowest angel and even further down to mankind. Exousia, G 1849, represents both power singular and powers plural. Let's take a look at power first. Power in Strong's is one's authority, strength, physical and mental, or right, i.e., a right to the tree of life, to do something. It is a liberty or freedom of action based upon authority as either a delegated power or as an unrestrained, arbitrary power. It includes the husband's authority over his wife, which is the veil with which propriety required women to cover themselves, a sign of regal authority, a crown. Sisters, take note of your veil or your head covering, which is a crown to his head and yours. It is a direct connection to the power and authority of the angels of Yahweh, for Scripture states,
"Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head, because of the angels." 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 9.
The word Al or El is the power of Elohim, Elohim-like. Mighty men, including false Elohims, are idle. Ikas denotes power as a particular physical endowment or gift of physical strength, like Samson's. Kratos shows strength as a manifested power directly from Elohim, and Koach, power given to animals and produce regarding the wealth and power of soil. Sarah, a prince or princess, a leader. To contend with, order soldiers, to persist. As is a force of a king. Meshal and Memshalah, to rule, take dominion, princes and chief rulers. Oz, material, personal, social, or political strength of Elohim and men. Yakol, power of an overcomer. Chayil is army or warlike.
For by him were all things created, that are in heaven and earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones, or dominions, or principalities, or powers. All things were created by him, and for him. Colossians chapter 1, verse 16.
Virtue is the inherent power of a thing directed by its nature. This is the reason why we are told we must be born again through Yeshua, who must and will change our nature. It is moral excellence of a soul and power of influence which belong to riches and wealth. It is the power arising from numbers, both good and evil, and the power that rests upon armies, forces, and hosts, good and evil. Through this power of heavenly hosts, angels perform miracles and bestow encouragement, blessings, courage, grace, and valor. Arit is a morally excellent course of thought, feeling, or action, modesty and purity of heart. By virtues and love will men be forged into perfection, which will shine forth in our calling and in salvation for those who will be heirs as guided by the heavenly hosts of virtue.
Put on, as the elect of Elohim, holy and beloved, bowels of mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long-suffering, forbearing one another, and forgiving one another. And above all these things, put on love, which is the bond of perfectness. Colossians chapter 3, verses 12 through 14.
Seraphim are burning, fiery, flaming angels with 6 wings and voices for praise, who circle the throne of Yahweh Elohim, crying, Holy, holy, holy. An odd physical appearance, they watch the throne of Elohim's glory as intermediators of his divine will, and their only job is to worship and adore Elohim. Described as great wheels, covered with many eyes and glowing with light, they are spirits of will and holiness. This fiery love gives them the term fiery serpents. Since their light is so intense, even other divine beings may not look upon them. The term full of eyes in Strong's H6859 is ayin. Physical eyes representing mental and spiritual faculties. Figuratively, a spring or fountain of living waters of wisdom. They are all-seeing and all-knowing in the omniscient and omnipresence of Yahweh.
Above it, the thrones, stood seraphim. Each one had 6 wings. With 2, he covered his face. With 2, he covered his feet. And with 2, he flew. One cried to another and said, Holy, holy, holy is Yahweh of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. Isaiah chapter 6, verses 1 through 3.
Cherubim are the 4 living creatures near the throne. They are not cute, little, or chubby, but are terrible and mete out the judgments of Yahweh. Living creatures each have 4 faces: of an ox, man, a lion, and eagle. They guarded the Garden of Eden, flanked the Ark of the Covenant, i.e. the throne, and thus formed the base of the chariot of Yahweh Elohim. Seraphim and Cherubim together serve the function of being Elohim's chariot. Cherubim are connected to his throne at the base by the wheels and in between the wheels. The wheels only move when the beasts move and in the same direction that they do. This is confirmed in Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 36, where the prophet said, "The purpose of the living creatures was also in the wheels."
In my distress, I called upon Yahweh and cried unto my Elohim. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him, even into his ears. Then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations also of the hills moved and were shaken, because he was wroth. There went up a smoke out of his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens also, and came down, and darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherub, and did fly. Yea, he did fly upon the wings of the wind. He made darkness his secret place. His pavilion round about him were dark waters, and thick clouds of the skies. At the brightness that was before him, his thick clouds passed, hailstones and coals of fire. Psalm chapter 18, verses 6 through 12.
Archangels are in charge of heaven's armies in the battle against the sons of darkness. They supervise the guardian angels and are themselves guardian angels to the elect and heirs of Elohim's salvation. Watchers are angels who guard jurisdictions and boundaries. Michael is Hebrew for who is like Elohim and is called one of 3 of the chief princes who leads the angelic army against that old serpent called the devil in Revelations chapter 12, verse 7. Michael is the watchful guardian of Israel against earthly and satanic enemies. The word demon comes from the Greek word which means intelligent, while an unclean spirit means the spirit is morally wicked. The Bible implies that demons or unclean spirits are the fallen angels that once joined Satan in a heavenly revolt. We know some angels of an angelic order left their first estate, their heavenly assigned places, and are now confined in the abyss. They were watchers who influenced the holy seed to mix with the daughters of the nations that brought forth giants on earth, mighty men of wicked renown. These angels were cast down to hell, or Tartarus, and are held there in chains until the judgment day. Tartarus in Strong's is defined as the deep, dark abyss, which scientists believe are connected to the black holes in outer space. Lying spirits can cause men to prophesy falsely, which occurs quite often in the Catholic and Protestant churches. Spirits of infirmity can linger for long periods of time. One was in a woman for 12 years. Evil spirits can be raised up by divination or conjuring spirits for predictions, and they can possess a body, according to Acts chapter 16, verse 16. They can appear to reveal information and thoughts coming directly from a dead person who has been raised by speaking on the subject. Such was the case with Saul in 1 Samuel chapter 28, verses 11 through 17, when he asked a witch to bring up the prophet Samuel. Necromancy, communicating with the dead, and witchcraft, chanting to raise the person of the dead, or techniques for gaining secret information through some other means other than prayer. Prayer is the means by which we can hear from Elohim, and going around his ordained provision is rebellion, which guarantees that deception will be present. Samuel told Saul,
"For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, divination, and stubbornness is iniquity and idolatry." 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 23.
Satan now uses these fallen spirits to do his will, but Elohim also used perverse spirits to punish sinners in the Old Testament, according to the book of Judges, chapter 9, verse 23, and may still do so today in Isaiah, chapter 19, verse 14. One can be possessed by a deaf, dumb, or unclean spirit, and these devils can cause sickness in the bodies they dwell in. According to 1 Samuel, chapter 16, verse 23, evil spirits can be made to depart with music played by a soul who worships Yahweh Elohim. Yahshua gave his apostles power over unclean spirits to cast them out, although certain evil spirits can't be removed without prayer and fasting. In antiquity, some angels violated the will of Elohim and the purpose for which they were created, and so each angel must give an account to his Creator for his own conduct in the end. Angels were made immortal, but Scripture does indicate that Lucifer will ultimately be transformed into a man in Isaiah chapter 14, verses 16 through 20, and cast into the lake of fire. Revelation chapter 20, verse 10.
They that see you shall narrowly look upon you and consider you, saying, "Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners?" Isaiah chapter 14, verses 16 through 20. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. Revelation chapter 20, verse 10.
Satan usurped the dominion over this planet from Adam and has held it for the past 6,000 years. Hebrews chapter 2 verse 7 indicates that angels were created higher than man, yet human believers shall judge them and the world.
Do you not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, are you unworthy to judge the smallest matters? Know you not that we shall judge angels? How much more the things pertaining to this life? 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 2 through 3.
While the things we have been told about angels have been interesting and even amusing, particularly the theory regarding aliens, those things are not reality on angels according to Scripture. Angels are powerful celestial beings who can travel great distances at once, manifest themselves to humans at will, eat men's food, and disappear. While Yahweh gives sunshine and rain to the just and the unjust alike, we know that guardian angels are assigned to the heirs of salvation. So the vital question is, do you know the God of Israel, Yahweh Elohim, and his Son, Yahshua, who endows his angels with his power, glory, and authority?
Who has ascended up into heaven or descended? Who has gathered the wind in his fist? Who has bound the waters in a garment? Who have established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? And what is his son's name, if you can tell? Proverbs chapter 30, verse 4.